Hello YouTube, this is BUB'S Comics coming at you with, well, I can't even call it a comic haul. It's just a comic pickup. It's really some Grail mail. So, the short story on this, I just have one book to show. I don't know if I've ever done a haul with just one book, so I guess, I guess here we go. The genesis of this was just simply that I was working on picking up some keys. I picked up my House of Secrets 92 this year, and that was probably the biggest DC key that I have. I picked up a couple of other keys along the way, but I'd say this is probably my second biggest DC key that I've ever had. Very pleased with this one. It was halfway on my radar, halfway off my radar, but what put it on my radar was just the color scheme of it, and also I wanted a very specific version of this book, so I'll show it off right now. It's Green Lantern number 76. And the reason that this one was so, I had to jump on it, was because it's a 3.0, so it's not a high grade, but I'm a low grade collector, so I'm very pleased with it. It's got a little, rust spot in the staple, a little staining there, here and there, a little staining there. I don't think it could be cleaned very much. I think just a little, and it looked like it had already been pressed. So I'd say it's probably already been cleaned as much as it can be cleaned. But again, I don't really care. The nice things about buying CBCS books, I bought this online on eBay. And one of the nice things about buying a CBCS book is that you can check the grader's notes. So even though they're not as detailed, like if you've never looked at grader's notes, you might be surprised at how little detail there is. But if there's some major flaws on the cover, usually they are addressed. And I happen to think that CBCS does have the best grader's notes. I think they're the most detailed grader's notes. And they're free and they're available. So I think when it comes to grader's notes, CBCS wins over CGC or anybody else that thinks they're a grader. So originally when I first saw the picture of this book, you see there's a little damage there by Hal's right arm. And I thought that was a rip that came from here and extended down. But it's not. It's just like a tape pull. So, and the same thing over here, that I thought that was a tape pull, but that's like a small hole in the cover. So there you go. You never quite know what you got. The notes really help a lot, and that's why when you're buying books, if you can buy a graded book, especially a CBCS book, before you even make a bid on it, check the notes. There's nothing wrong with that, with knowing the most you can know about a book. To me, that's truly what grading is for, and what these third-party companies are for. They're mostly for buying and selling transactions so that there's some transparency there that otherwise may not be there. And it increases confidence in the purchase, and to me that's the only reason why you'd pay more for them, and they look cool. So the back cover is the back cover, a little staining there too, so I don't really care about back covers unless it's a wraparound cover, then I care. And it's nice that they put some more information up on there. And the big deal with this book is that it's something of a controversial book. It kind of ushered in the Bronze Age. So, there's some race tensions going on, and it's really, basically Hal's going to do something, and the Watchers are like, no, you can't do that. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to do it anyway. So, and him and Green Arrow, of course, like all team-ups, they're going to fight in the beginning, and then they get along as it goes along. And this starts the run of the Green Lantern / Green Arrow storyline. And really, this classic Neal Adams art is just something. It's just pretty awesome. Him shattering the lantern with his arrow is just so cool. So one of the reasons that I picked this book up, even though it wasn't technically on my 2019 list, because I kept that list pretty short, was that I wanted to get a copy that had Neal Adams' signature on it. So, and the reason is because I've seen this book, I've seen Neal Adams, he goes to like every con in America. So I've seen him at multiple cons in the last couple of years, and I see this as a poster, and I've kind of always wanted it, but I don't generally buy prints. I usually just find the book. I'd rather get a signed low grade copy of a book than a perfect pristine print in a frame. Just prints and frames, signed prints really don't interest me at all. Like, it's just one of those things that doesn't get me. I'd rather find like a poster or a promotional poster and get that signed than like just a print at somebody's table. Now they are a lot cheaper, but I just have no interest in that. So anyway, this is obviously witnessed, and Neal Adams signature. So Neal Adams signature is somewhere like $50. You know, getting this thing witnessed, and then they usually charge more. Like the artist will charge more for witnessing. So, you know, I don't know what he charges. So I'd say somewhere around $50-$60. CBCS also has a high witnessing charge and a high, you know, send-in charge for all that. So they're like, you know, $45. So anyway, it's easily a $100 swing between buying this book raw in a 3.0 or an assumed 3.0 condition, and getting it slabbed with Neal Adams signature and witnessed. So that's to me about a $100 swing. So, and you know, I submitted the offer to this is one of those stealth buys, I call them, because to me there's lots of different kinds of stealth buys, but this particular type of stealth buy is when you're buying on eBay during an event when other people are kind of busy and not paying attention, or, you know, to me that's, or maybe someone's hurting for money, you never know. So anyway, I bought this during the Super Bowl, and I was purposefully, there was a couple of books that I had on my watch list that were coming close to ending, either on the Super Bowl or the Monday after, and I figure I could have a good shot of stealing one of these books in that auction type range. This one was a buy it now, so I went ahead and submitted a lowball offer, or what I thought was a lowball offer, something to get the you know, conversation started, and the seller immediately accepted it. Like, it was literally seconds. As soon as I had submitted the offer, I automatically got an eBay notification saying the offer had been accepted. So what does that mean? That generally means that if you've never sold on eBay, then you wouldn't know this, but usually if you sell on eBay and you're doing a buy it now and you're going to accept an offer, you can set parameters in eBay under which you accept the offer or automatically reject the offer. So let's say you had an offer for $300 or you had a buy it now $300. You can set it that if someone says $275, that it automatically accepts it. You can also set it that if someone offers anything less than $275, it automatically rejects it. And you can tell if the seller has auto settings by how quickly it responds. Sometimes you'll put in a lowball offer and it'll auto reject it like within milliseconds. It's almost instantaneous. And the same thing happens if they have their auto accept turned on and you happen to hit that mark. Now, you can't start playing with this and start sending in $5 bids until you hit that auto mark, because you're usually only allowed a certain number of bids. On this one, I was only allowed 5 bids. So what I did was I sent in what I considered to be my lowest price for this book. And I had a range of anywhere between my lowest price and the asking price I thought was actually pretty fair. So definitely within the market value. And my lowest price I put in and it got accepted right away. So I think that was exactly the seller's lowest price that they would offer, that they would accept. So it happened to work out. And then the other thing you got to watch with those auto bid situations is you got to watch to make sure that they get accepted in the end. Sometimes you'll do one of those and it'll get accepted right away and it'll say pay now, and you'll wait 3 days and you haven't heard anything from the seller. It hasn't shipped, it hasn't been marked as shipped, nothing, and the seller just canceled the order because they didn't realize that they had a auto bid accept, you know, setting there. They didn't want to sell it for that much. So you got to watch that. Every now and then that will happen. With those auto bids, is that the seller will just say, forget it. But if you check the seller's rating and the seller has a 100% rating and multiple transactions in the last month, like a lot, like, you know, 30 to 50 sales in the last month, and they still have a 100% rating, chances are they're going to honor they're a decent seller and they're going to honor the bid and the offer and the win. So anyway, that's my story. Green Lantern number 76. 3.0 off-white to white pages. I don't even care about pages. I mean, really, you're not even going to look at this book ever again. Like, this book is never going to get cracked open, so who cares what page color? Say page color black for all I care, and I'm never going to get to see it. So but anyway, especially with the signature, like, you know, if it's a Neal Adams signature and it's witness signature, there's no way you're going to crack that out. What a tear down of the value of this book that you can never get back. You know, it's not like something with missing the MVS and you crack it out, take a look at it, you send it back in. It's going to keep the value. But when you have something witness signature, you will instantaneously lower its value by cracking the slab. So it's the only case where I definitely say never crack it. But anything else, even if it's verified signature, crack it. You should be able to get it verified again. So there you go. There you go. Green Lantern number 76. When you get a chance, read a comic. You just can't read a slab. So I guess read the front of the comic. Yeah, do that. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.